Maybe the videos would be shorter if you didn't repeat yourself so often, or take long, slow swigs of wine. Anyway, was hoping to see more actual product reviews.
Well, today's your lucky day. Hey everyone, today I want to do a video where I talk about Beauty Pie. I'm going to start it off by doing a haul of the things I got this month, and then I'm going to roll into doing an overview of all of the makeup products that I have from Beauty Pie. So this will unfortunately be a long video. Sorry, commenter. However, you wanted some product reviews and I wanted to deliver on that. I will be doing some other videos talking about their other products such as fragrances and skincare in upcoming videos, but I have just about everything from them. I don't have every shade, but I have every product type, so I will be able to give you a good idea of their products if you were to order from them. All right, so I did dig through these products a little bit because today I've went on a hike with my family and I wanted to try out their SPF. And so that's the first product I have here, and it's their new to the US. And I think that the SPF that they had out in the UK was a SPF 30, but the one in the US was the one in the UK was a 25 and the one here in the US is a 30. And so that is what I used today. I really like the texture. It did have a white cast when I first put it on, but once I put my makeup on, there really wasn't any white cast. And it comes in the same packaging as their Japanesque Daily Moisturizer and their Vitamin C Daily Moisturizer, which this is not my favorite packaging because there will still be product in here and then you have to like squeeze really, really hard to try to get some out. However, I really am excited to try this and to give it a whirl. So this so far is so good. I did do a repurchase of the Japan Fusion. Did I say Japanesque moisturizer?
Japanesque.
It's the Japan Fusion moisturizer, the daily that is in the same package of. Anyway, I did do a repurchase of the Japan Fusion Supreme Cream. And I really like this. It's like a gel cream and it looks really glossy on the skin. You can use this day or night. They have a lighter version that comes in this packaging now and I got it last month. But I mean, if I'm still kind of doing like a no makeup sort of day and I just want really nice hydrated glossy skin, I go for this. I really like it. So I'm almost out of my other one. So I did a repurchase of that. I also picked up another one of their Super Dose Vitamin C. Again, comes in the same sort of packaging as the SPF and the Japan Fusion Daily Moisturizer. Looks like this. This is nice and light. It makes the skin look glowy. I guess there's not really much else to say about it. I just like this daily moisturizer. They have some bath products that they just came out with. There are 3 products in their range, but for whatever reason, they only released 2 on the US site. So they might have released the other one at this point, but I got the 2 that they had released at the time that I made the order. But I got Soul Providers, which they're both called Soul Providers, but I got their Relaxing Bath and Shower Oil, and this is a lavender, bitter orange, and evening primrose oil with ashwagandha extract shower oil. And it comes like this, and I'm excited to give this a try. We're doing a lot of, yeah, this will be really good for like before bed to use in the shower. And then I got this one, which will be good to use in the morning. And this is the Energizing Body Wash. And this has got grapefruit, black pepper, essential oils, Indian gooseberry, and purifying Tulsi plant. I don't know what that is. I smelled this and it smells really good. There we go. So I picked this up. I have their body wash in just the white container and I've really been enjoying that. So I thought I would give this a try. And the body scrub was the other product, but I couldn't get my hands on that because it hadn't been released yet. I did pick up another lipstick. They also, after I picked this up, they released, well, the lipsticks have been out there for a while, but they had an Instagram post of their Barely There lipsticks, and I think I'm gonna go through the ones that they had talked about on that Instagram post and purchase all the ones that maybe I don't have or whatever on the Instagram post, because I like Barely There lipsticks. And you'll notice that when I go through this video, that's pretty much what I have. And I don't like a lot of color on my lips. So I got the shade You Sexy Thing. It's got a touch of glitter in it. And it's just, I don't want to say glitter, micro shimmer in it. And you can hardly tell, but this line of lipsticks seems like they all have micro shimmer in it. And I kind of wish Beauty Pie would realize that you can have a shine in a lipstick without that shimmer. But there it is. And it's just kind of like a nice browny, pinky nude. So yeah, so that is all I picked up. So now we're just gonna go ahead and start talking about all of their beauty products. I made a list of all of the products that I have and like made little notes about them so I wouldn't forget. And I'll show you the product. I won't be able to do swatches of everything. If you want swatches, maybe in a separate video, I'll have to wait till I have better weather. I'm from Ohio and it's supposed to be spring. You can probably hear the birds outside singing, but don't let that fool you. We've had tornadoes. I had snow the other day. It's wild outside. But anyway, so with the foundations, the two foundations I have the Great Skin Foundation, and here that is. And then I also have their Micro Mineral Serum Foundation. Now, these are quite a bit different. So the Micro Mineral Serum Foundation is like a liquidy foundation and it comes with a dropper. And I assumed when I got them that this would be the one for me because my skin tends to go more on the drier side. But what ends up happening with this is mostly water, silicone, and pigment. And when it dries down, it clings to every dry patch, showing every dry patch on your skin, and it's not flattering at all. This one, on the other hand, is very interesting. You cannot apply it with a beauty blender. If you do, it doesn't actually ever set down. You have to use like the warmth of your fingers or maybe even buff it in with a brush. If you mix it with that water, it just does not adhere to the skin. And they even say on the instructions on the website that you need to use a brush to buff it in. I have the best luck though, like doing either a pump on the back of my hand, or I have like this little palette over here that's super disgusting, like that I mix things on. But I'll put some on there. And I'll just kind of put it in, dot it on my face, and then I'll just kind of work it in with my fingers and then go in with a brush and buff it out. I am wearing this foundation today, but again, I have like sunscreen under it and it's really thinned out. But again, I really enjoy this. When this first came out, people were kind of trying to compare this to the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I can use a beauty blender with this foundation, no problem. And this kind of glides onto the skin a little bit easier and has more of a slip to it. This doesn't. If you apply too much of this foundation also all at once, it will look cakey. So you need to be very careful, go little by little, use your fingers, use the warmth and apply it. If you do, I mean, your skin will look glowy. Like my skin looks really glowy. It also looks glowy though because as I was gathering up all of these products, I kept applying like different highlights and stuff to my cheeks, and I also went on a hike. I'm a mess. But this can look beautiful on the skin if you can find a shade for you. And that's the other problem. There's a limited shade selection. That's a huge problem with Beauty Pie. In my other videos, I've talked all about it. They do have a thing on Beauty Pie where you can get like a little sample card. You can purchase that first for around $6 and see if you can find a good match. Also, you can try to buy a couple shades and mix them together for your perfect match. But again, with the limited shade selection, it's very tough to find a good match. So application wise, it is not a good match for this, but the way it wears on the skin and the way it looks, I would say this wears on the skin similarly. Like if you were to come look at my skin after wearing this and putting it on, you would think that that's maybe what I had on, but the ingredients are not similar and the way it applies is not similar. I have two Beauty Pie primers and they're actually the same primer. They are just different shades, all in Wonder Illuminating Primer. And So this is actually a really interesting product here. So the way I like to wear this a lot of the times is by itself. So, and that is with the shade Nude Glow, and that's the 01. If you're lighter, you can get away with wearing this on its own. It just gives the skin like a healthy sheen and evens out the skin tone. So you can kind of see there. So it's like a barely there sort of tinted primer. And yeah, you can kind of see on the back of my hand, it gives a nice sheen. So I like to wear that just to kind of even out my skin tone a little bit for no makeup sort of day. This one right here in the shade Warm Glow 02 is very interesting because the shade is a match for the Chanel Bronze Universal, and I will show you if I can find it in a drawer here. I wasn't going to do swatches, but here we are. So somebody is going to be very mad about a long video. The Bronze Universal, the Soleil Tan de Chanel, was actually, it's a bronzing makeup base. You can use it over your makeup or you can use it under as a base. And I always used it as a base, like mine looks super gross. They've just redone this though to where now it's a completely different ingredient deck and all of that fun stuff. People have done videos about it. So here it is. You can kind of see it there on the back of my hand. So you can use this. Lisa Eldridge has done videos to where she uses it very lightly all over her face to warm up her complexion to fake a tan. You can definitely do that and wear it on your own to do that. You can also do that with this primer. But I do it also if it's summertime, my body has a slight tan and I always wear sunscreen, especially on my face, and my face is a little pale. So I'll just do a little squeeze here on my hand. Okay. So there, I have a squeeze of it there. You can see that the tone is the same. The texture is not the same, but the tone is. And what you can do is, like, I'll just kind of take them and just a nice thin veil all over the skin. Just kind of gives the illusion, and then I'll put it next to, it just kind of warms up the complexion just a little bit. And it's not too much, but you can do that all over your face. I would say start little, just warm it up and go all over, and then just buff it in with a foundation brush, and it will just really help to kind of fake that tan effect. And you can, again, do that under a foundation, then just go ahead and put on a foundation over it, or you can, you know, wear it alone if you want. But I really like this product. I generally hardly ever wear it under foundation. I don't wear a lot of primers generally unless I'm wearing like a glow sort of primer and then putting foundation over it. I mostly just wear this product on its own. So then hopping into these are the Quick Color Contour Super Gels, and I have two shades, 01 and 02, and I think that's the only shades that they have. These are a full-on dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury, whatever, magic wand or whatever. You can even see the applicator, full-on dupe, even an ingredient dupe. I went onto the Charlotte Tilbury website to look at the ingredients, and then back to the Beauty Pie website, full-on ingredient dupe, everything. So I don't know if it's a shade dupe because I don't have the Charlotte Tilbury, but this is, I believe, the darker one right here. And these blend beautifully. And then this is the cooler one. So the darker one is, yeah, right up here, and it goes a little bit warm, and then you have the cooler one. These blend beautifully. There we go. And I wear them all the time. They blend with the Beauty Blender, which again, Beauty Pie has their own version of the Beauty Blender, which is amazing. But again, I'm not talking about tools in this. Love this product. Highly recommend. So then they also have the Pro Glow Strobing Drops. I have two shades. I have AstroTurf and Illuminati. So, and you'll kind of see the packaging is a little bit different. This was the original packaging, and I think the original color, and then when they came out with this color, they moved over to this packaging. I think they're both in this the larger packaging now. But I think they're actually still the same size, just for whatever reason it went over to the larger packaging. No, actually, I think, yeah, you get more product in this one, a little bit more. Anyway, I actually love mixing this in, which I did today. I mixed it in with my foundation, just a drop in with this foundation, all over the skin. It just looked like skin. I really like that. And then I powder over it and it just looks like I'm glowing from within. I don't wear these on their own because they're just a little just too intense for me. They're very intense. If you're wanting that intense sort of glow though, you could definitely do that, but they are just, they're a lot for me. So like that's a lot. But so it's more of a mixer for the type of makeup that I do. All right, so they also have these multi-glow sticks, and I have the shades Day Glow and Hot Tropic. There's another shade too that I don't have, which is more of like their peachy orangey shade, but Hot Tropic is a pink shade, which is what I would say is like a dupe for the NARS Orgasm multiple stick. And I'll just pull that out here and do a side-by-side swatch. Well, actually, it's a little bit more pink, I would say. Orgasm on top goes a little bit more coral, but they're very similar. So it's slightly more pink, I guess, now that I'm seeing it in this light. They also have, the other shade that I have is in Day Glow, which is just a regular champagne highlighter, which is right there. It's nice. It reminds me a lot of like the Benefit What's Up sort of shade. So if that's something that you just want that's really easy to tap on, these blend really easy. And they're not too creamy, and they do kind of set, it's almost like that cream to powder sort of formula, and it sets and it looks nice on the skin. I have no complaints about these. I don't really tend to reach for either of those though, because I feel like it's just super glowy on the cheeks, and one is a little bit too pink, almost like a blush, and then there's something else that I prefer as a highlighter in the cheeks that Beauty Pie makes, and I'll show you that in a moment. I will go ahead and just show you the thing that I prefer to use on my cheeks, and it's this. It's the Triple Beauty Liquid Luminizer in Golden Whirl. This is just good skin in a little pot. It doesn't look like much on the finger, and then when you go to rub it in, it actually doesn't look like it's going to do much either. It just looks like, yeah, nothing. Well, a little bit there, but then you let it settle into the skin and it just gives the most healthy sheen. Like if you give it like a minute once it's on the skin, it looks just, I don't know, like naturally good skin. The shade is just right. Yeah, it's not too much, not too little. It's just, it's the best. I've gone through probably 3 or 4 of these now. I love this thing. And it's just so easy to pop in a travel bag or just to pop on your face to use with makeup. It's perfect. So now I'm going to talk about concealers. I have 2 that are still in stock. One of them they discontinued, and I want to talk about it because I want them to bring it back, but I want them to fix the shade range. I think the reason that they got rid of it was because their shade range was crap. I have the shade Light 200, which is also the shade, well, I'll show you. So this is supposed to be light, which is pretty darn dark. Like, that's dark. But it gets darker on the skin. I loved this because this was their super luminous concealer. This formula was pretty much, should have been their under eye concealer. But they got it, it's just way too dark to use as an under eye concealer. So they need to just fix it and bring it back in lighter shades. The other 2 concealers, they have like this pot kind of concealer. It's the Unbeatable Concealer. They call it Camouflage Cover. And this one kind of, I would say, settles down to almost like a powder-like finish. You don't really have to set it. What I like to do is get it on my fingers since it is so pigmented. I kind of work it and warm it between my fingers, and then I tap it where I need it. So I get it all warmed up like this on those fingers, and then a lot of the places that I usually would put concealer are like around here, and then like right under here, and then in here. Like I don't really need to like be doing this right now, but I'll just show you. And I just tap it lightly so it doesn't look overdone. And then just tap it in those areas. And then it just kind of brightens up the face. Like I didn't really need concealer right now, but, and that's what I use it for. But again, their shade selection isn't the best. I have the same shade 150 in this stick concealer, which is a creamier formula. It's nice. Again, I talked about it in another video. They discontinued the shade and then I complained about it and then they brought it back. I don't think I had anything to do with that, but it did happen. It's a good concealer, although I will say shade 150 in the stick does not match shade 150 in the pot. the stick is a little bit darker than the pot. Maybe, or maybe they brought it back and now the stick matches the pot. I don't know. All right, so now I want to talk about their powders. And the first one is their super translucent powder, and I have the banana shade. And so there is another shade, and maybe I should have chosen it. The banana shade, I will say though, this isn't like an invisible translucent sort of powder, and it does cake up very easily. So you pretty much, when you use it, you have to just like tap in the center and then like swirl it and then just go very light, or it does cake up and the banana is very noticeable. So this is not my favorite powder. It's not really that translucent at all. It says loose setting powder, super translucent powder. It's not. This powder right here is their One Powder Wonder. This is my favorite. I've gone through another one of these. I love it. This is a dupe for the NARS Translucent Light Reflecting Setting Powder. I think, is that the full name for it? Yeah, it's the NARS Translucent Crystal Light Reflecting Setting Powder. It's a dupe for that. As you can see, I liked the NARS one, and I only use the NARS one on my under eyes because I found the NARS one would actually make my face itch a little bit. For whatever reason, whatever made my face itch in the NARS one does not make my face itch on this one. And so this one I can use all over my face, and this does not make my face look powdery at all. And so I'm able to use all these super moisturizing products on my face, then powder and set them in place with this. And then what I like to do is I like to do that, and then I like to then go in with like my bronzers and my blushes and things like that. And then they just go over really smoothly without skipping or anything like that. So this is a perfect product. My face never looks dry. Absolutely love it. I always look glowy, maybe a little too glowy, but this is great. And the last one I want to mention is the Radiance powder, and I have the shade Soft Soul, and this is their Moonlighting Balm. They have other shades, and I think that this was kind of like their answer to the Hourglass powders, but the texture of this is different. Hourglass powders are baked, and they call these Moonlighting Balms, and this is bizarrely like a balmy powder. So if I can get close, and the texture is like a super, like you can kind of see, it really is like a soft, balmy powder. But the thing with this is I had high hopes for it because I love the Hourglass powders. Again, this is the only shade I have. But when I put this on my face, it gets deeper. So the only thing I can really use this for is if I find that a bronzer that I've used looks just a little bit too flat, I can go around where I've put that bronzer and just liven it up a little bit. But other than that, I don't want to use it all over my face because it will deepen my face, and I don't want that. All right, so the next item I want to talk about is one that I absolutely love, and it's their eyeshadow sticks. I have a ton of them, and I need to kind of do an experiment and order a shade that I've already ordered before because it looks like they've changed the lab on their eyeshadow sticks. And so you'll see that the ones that look like this is the newer packaging. And this is the older packaging. And the older packaging looked a lot like the Laura Mercier packaging. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. So I have a few, and I'm just gonna have to test, like order one in a shade that I already have and test to see if the performance is any different. But I have tons of these, and I don't know if all these shades are still available because I feel like maybe they are, but I have a lot of these. But these are amazing. They don't crease. The performance is just as good as, like, say, the Bobbi Brown or the Laura Mercier eyeshadow sticks. They're great, and I have tons of shades. So I'm going to go ahead and first start off by swatching the 3 newer ones that I've received. Well, not I've received, I bought them. So here we have En Taupe, Huntress, and then Fauna. And I'll get up close so you can see those. They're very pretty. So then we have Brazilianaire, Goldie, and Little Star. Wild Violet, Pink Velvet, and Beige Bombshell. And Beige Bombshell, I should have like done that a little bit. It's, yeah, kind of like a shimmer. Okay, and then these last 2 are matte. We have Choco and then Vanilla Whirl. So those are all the shades I have. All right, but let's talk about the rest of their eyeshadows because that's where things start to get a little bit disappointing. So they have this baked formula, which I think they were going for the Laura Geller eyeshadows because this seems to be a very similar packaging to theirs. And I have 2 of these palettes. I have the shades, which Beautiful Neutrals and Guilty Pleasure. And I've tried both of these out. And some of these, you just can't get hardly like any pigment off of them. Like once you get them onto the eyes, they're very like dusty. Might as well just do them all. They're very dusty, like once you try to get into them and you kind of spread them out, like they're not that great. And then like, yeah, you buff them out and like they go into nothing. So they're not that impressive. If you put down a base or you're wanting that barely there look, they might be okay for you, but they're just depressing. So then we go into their regular eyeshadows, and they come in palettes that look like these. I'm not sure that this is a palette that they still have. I think this one might have been limited edition. I mean, I don't know. It's called Sunshiny Day. And the shades in this are very similar to a lot of the shades in the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I mean, it's missing a few, but if I were to put these, like you're missing a couple, but the main gist is kind of there. I feel like it was inspired by it. And it doesn't smell like peach. But again, the formula in the Sweet Peach palette is clearly better, but these remind me of just drugstore L'Oreal shadows. And they kind of blend away. They're not very, and you kind of see, like I just kind of swatched. They're pretty powdery and they're sad. They just kind of blend away into like nothing. Which is disappointing. This one right here is the 10 best neutral eyeshadows is what they call it. And again, just the shadows are just not that great. So I was a little bit disappointed by those because they say they're like luxury eyeshadows, but they're not. Another one that they came out with not too long ago was this one. And again, they're claiming that the MSRP for this was like $40 some. But again, then L'Oreal then came out with the Karl Lagerfeld collection, and the pans and the way it was made was exactly like this one. So I just know that that's exactly what this is, but then just branded for Beauty Pie. And so it was nowhere near worth that. I will say though that I actually like the black in here because of that dusty quality that blends out to nothing. Because if you are a beginner at makeup wanting to make a smoky eye, like it, just the fact that it just keeps blending and blending and blending and blending is actually quite good for somebody if you have issues with being able to, you know, to blend product. But this blue shade right here, it doesn't stay that rich blue, and when you go to blend, it becomes like a weird murky green color. And it's just, I don't know, it's sad. So yeah, that one's kind of a miss as well. But the cream shadows is where it's at. Don't buy the powder shadows, get the cream shadows. I feel like I could have just said that and not like swatched those shadows and gone through all that. Okay, so a running theme that you'll be able to tell through a lot of Beauty Pie products is Charlotte Tilbury. Either they're trying to dupe Charlotte Tilbury products, or you can tell that some of the products were made in the same labs and they are actually the exact same thing. So this is a product that you can just tell that they are trying to dupe and they fell short. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Look in a palette, and this is the one palette Wonder. Now, the quality is clearly better in the Charlotte Tilbury. I actually like the shade choices better in this one. However, I wish the quality was just there. You can tell where they skipped some costs, as in there's like half the amount of product here as there is in this one. There's quite a bit more product in this. Also, they pushed the product directly into the plastic here. There are actually no pans. Lancome does that in some of their items. and so does L'Oreal, I believe. There are a few brands that do that, that just push it directly in there, and there are no pans to where you, like, you know, you can't depot it. This is a heftier product. I know that Beauty Pie tries to cut a lot of their costs, and their reasoning behind that is to cut on waste, but then to also pass the savings on to their members. So that's fine, but just so you know, the quality is not the same. If you see this and you're thinking it's this, it's not the same. I still get a good look from this. I like the items in it, but the eyeshadows in this just do not last on my eyes. And so that kind of makes me sad because I wish that they did. And I just want to notice, for the most part, all of the tones on the eyeshadows lean very cool. They might look like they're going to be neutral or warm in the palette, and then once you start putting them on and you start blending them out, all of the warmer shades and stuff, like, they seem to like blend away, and then you're left with a cool eyeshadow look. Every time, never fails. Always a cool, like, ruddy blended mess on my eye. I just wanted to go ahead and point that out, that that's what you're always going to get. Again, I already mentioned it, just go for the sticks. So I am not an eyeliner person, but I do want to let you know, if you are an eyeliner person and you enjoy the Charlotte Tilbury eyeliners, I have the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk eyeliner. I recently got it because it was a maroon eyeliner. I thought it would suit me. I love it. I wish that they had that shade in Beauty Pie, because guess what? They're both made in the same lab. You can tell by the way that it's made, and they're also both made in Germany. Like, they are, like, hold on. The component is exact. Also, their sharpeners for their pencils are exactly the same. Do I have them handy here? I'm not really supposed to be talking about tools in this one, but you can also tell by the component of their sharpener for the pencils, like obviously the maroon one. If you just want a good sharpener, they're the same thing. It's the exact same sharpener, Beauty Pie versus Charlotte Tilbury. Just save yourself some money and get the Beauty Pie. All right, so I'm gonna jump into the lip liner since I just talked about the eyeliner. Just to let you know, the lip liners are not made in the same place as the Charlotte Tilbury ones. The lip liners from Beauty Pie are made in France. Charlotte Tilbury, just like the eyeliners, are made in Germany. But I did want to point out that the shade Rummy Pink is actually a shade dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner in Pillow Talk. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick swatch of both of them. This one right here is Beauty Pie, and then this one right here next to it is Charlotte Tilbury. And I'll get a little bit closer. If I had to like pick out any difference, maybe the Charlotte Tilbury goes a little bit more pink, but like slightly, because I almost feel like the Beauty Pie one is more pigmented, and that's why, if I'm picking out any difference in them, that's why I see a slight difference. Okay, so Beauty Pie offers a couple of bronzers. I used to have the other one, but I got rid of it because I found that it was a little bit too much on the orange side. Also, they claimed that it was a matte bronzer, but when you get it, it's got an overspray of just glitter over the top, which was really obnoxious, and it just seems like it was just always there. So I did end up getting rid of that other shade, but I have the shade Goldilocks, and it does not come with the overspray. It's a little bit, I would say, cooler than the other one, but it's still a fairly warm bronzer in my opinion, but it's nothing compared to the other one as far as warmth. So I would still say it's a good bronzer. It's a little bit, I would say, as far as bronzers go, like, it's very soft and powdery. Like, I wouldn't say powdery in a bad way, but the type of powdery to where if you don't set your makeup before using it, it will definitely stick to skin if you have like a tacky foundation on. So I would definitely make sure that your foundation has been set, or it will stick to certain spots and kind of look blotchy. They have these shimmer bars, which are very similar to the Bobbi Brown shimmer bricks. And instead of them being in stripes like the shimmer bricks, they're like in these little 9 block sort of configurations. And I have all 3 shades. This one's in Lumineer, which is more of like a highlighty shade for me. I guess technically these could all be highlighty shades depending on what you're looking for. But that's the shade Lumineer, which is more of a champagne shade. This is the shade Sugar Drip, which is more of a pink sort of highlighter. And then this shade right here is in Bikini, which is more of that bronzy or brassy kind of looking highlighter. So for me and my skin, I use the pink one, Sugar Drip, as a blush topper. This one I use as kind of a bronzer topper just to kind of warm up the face a little bit. And this one I use as a highlighter. You gotta be careful with these a little bit, because if I kind of go up close, you can see the texture in these. They aren't like super finely milled. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you gotta be careful where you put them on your face. Again, focus them towards the outside or like right here. If you put them anywhere like this, they definitely do show off a little bit of texture on the skin. And you can kind of see that sort of glitter or shimmer in them. They're not really made to put, I guess, all over as a finishing powder. That's not really what they're for. They're just to kind of give a glow to the skin. They're pretty. They're not my favorite. I feel like the Bobbi Brown powders, the shades in those have a little bit more depth and dimension, and these just don't. Like if you look at, because each shade in the shimmer brick is a different shade, and these are using the same shades throughout the 9 pan. And there's not really a whole lot of difference in depth to them. And I don't know, they just don't really do it for me. I feel like you get like a very lit from within glow when you use the Bobbi Brown ones as opposed to these. I also wanted to mention this, and this is their Good Lighting palette. And you might be looking at that and think that it is a great dupe, or could be a great dupe for this. And that's what I thought when I got it. But the colors in here, and again, I will show you up close the powders, and you can kind of see in there, the shimmer is noticeable. Whereas if I were to show you these Hourglass blushes, you see a little bit of shimmer, but it's like a lit from within. It's very finely milled. And the blushes themselves in here, when I put them on the skin, the powder in the background kind of melts into the skin, and then you're just left with the blush color. And you kind of see that there. When you go to put the blush shades here on your skin, these are highlighters, and they're very noticeable and very shiny and very glittery. Why did I swatch it there? Let's try a different spot. So I'll try it on my fingers first. You can kind of see up close. Do you see how, like, those are the blush shades? There's no way, not even close. So in the pan, they look close, but they do not perform the same. Don't be fooled. If you don't mind them as a highlighter, they give like they hardly even show any of the color in the pan, but so they work okay as a highlighter, but they're nowhere close to the blushes in here. I do have a couple of their panned blushes. I have 2 shades. I have the shade Bad Girl and Go Rouge. Bad Girl is a very deep sort of, I would say, a pinky brownie shade, and I actually use this as a contour shade if I'm wanting my contour to be a little bit more on the pink side. I also use this as an eyeshadow. The formula of this is way better than their eyeshadows, and if I'm wanting a pinky brown or just wanting my whole face to be cohesive, I'll just kind of use this as my contour and my eyeshadow at the same time. So there that is. And then this other shade, which is called Go Rouge, is kind of the shade that I use if I kind of want that sun-kissed look. It does have little tiny shimmers in it. I'm not sure. There we go. It's kind of picking it up a little bit. It's got tiny shimmers in it. And I don't know if you can tell, but when melted into the skin, it's almost like It's got this blue undertone that kind of your skin gets after sweating. And it's just kind of that pinched cheek sort of look. And I love those. I wear them together quite often. Like I'll use this as the contour, then follow up with this, and it looks great. So I actually highly suggest these. I haven't tried any of their other shades of blush, so I may put in an order and try some of their other shades out because I actually am impressed with these. So I have two more highlighters to talk about, and this one is called their Pro Glow Highlighter in Cosmic Shine, and it looks like this. This is crazy. This gives you wet skin, and a lot of the times it's just a little too much for me. So I don't put it all over. I try to be very strategic in where I place it, and it does a great job. It's very pretty, but sometimes it's just a little too much for me, but it's beautiful. The one though that I think they should make several different shades in, because this formula is amazing, is their shade Beaming, and this is the Pro Strobe Luminizer, and it looks like this, and it's almost like a gelée sort of formula. You can kind of see it here. Hold on. And they need to make other shades. So it looks, compared to the other one, it doesn't really look like anything. But it's kind of got this peachy duochrome sort of undertone. It just looks like natural, sort of glowy skin. I keep saying natural everything, but I mean, nobody's skin naturally looks like that. But it actually is a great dupe, and see, I used almost all of it for this Lancome blush subtil palette and Framboise Flirt, or I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's old. I actually kept it for this video. I used up all of that. It's an exact dupe for that highlight that I loved. I need to find a dupe for this bronzer in here, or not bronzer, but the contour in there. But anyway, exact dupe for that. Now I have a whole pan of it, and I love it. So they need to make other shades in this formula because it's absolutely beautiful. Now let's talk about some eyebrow products. So I highly suggest their pencils. So those skinny pencils that are like the Anastasia pencils, they're a great price. I always kind of keep some in stock. I think they're great. I buy the shade Blondie Girl and Perfect Brown. I get the Blondie Girl a lot of times to kind of get the front, and then the Perfect Brown to shape the rest of it. I just kind of keep a bunch of these in stock. And then I also really like their eyebrow pencil in the Super Brow 3-in-1 powder pencil, this one. And it's like a waxy powder sort of formula in a pencil. And I think it's great. The one thing that I don't like about it is a lot of the times I go to sharpen it and it will break off in the sharpener. But it's actually a really great pencil. So highly suggest this, and the spoolie on the back is actually quite great as well. As far as their pomade goes, I feel like I'm still up in the air with it because it's kind of like a squishy sort of mousse texture you'll kind of see. And the reason I'm kind of up in the air with it is because of the shade. I have the shade Baked Brown. They don't have the same shades in this pomade as they do in the pencils. And I find that this is just a little bit too warm for my brows. So I might try to play around and see if I can find some other shades that might be a good match. But this shade looks kind of cool in the pan, and then when I go to apply it, it definitely looks kind of brown, not brown, because it is brown, but looks a little bit warm around the edges. You're wanting like an everyday sort of mascara that you can just kind of keep combing through, and it will just give you good lashes that way, and then you can just kind of apply to kind of build on itself. This is a great one, and it's just their Uber Volume Mascara, and I'll kind of show you the wand here. And the wand is kind of interesting. It's kind of flat on one side and then rounded on the other, and you can kind of use that to your advantage to kind of get the shape you're wanting. I don't know if you're gonna, yeah, you can kind of see the shape that way. There we go. See how it's like flat there, and then you can kind of use that edge to comb through. So I really like this mascara. And then recently I picked up their Mascara Reviver. And I really like this one because if I get towards the end of the day and my lashes are kind of looking sad, this wand is kind of sparse and it has the mascara in it to where you can then just go through and comb on a little bit of extra mascara. But a lot of the times, if you're using the same exact mascara that you applied your mascara on in the morning, the bristles are so close together and they're not like strong enough that what ends up happening is you're clumping it up or you're pulling off the mascara you're already put on. Since these bristles are far apart, this just helps you to coat over what you already have on instead of messing up your lashes and like making your lashes look crazy. So I actually really enjoy this mascara for that purpose. And then they also have their Uber Volume Fiber Lash Building Primer. And I've used this a couple of times and there you go. You can kind of see there. And I say overall it's good, but I feel like it puts so much product down you have to be careful because then you're going to have a hard time being able to get a mascara that will actually coat over and cover up the white that is on all of this. And so then I find that I have to put on my mascara and then still go over with the Reviver to cover up this because it just puts so much on. All right, and then the last category I want to talk about are lip products. So lip products are definitely not my favorite thing, but I do have quite a few to talk about. I've already discussed the lip liners a little bit because I talked about how one of them is a dupe for a Charlotte Tilbury lip liner, but I will do a quick swatch of the two shades I have. I have Rummy Pink and Vanilla Nude. Rummy Pink, again, is the one that is a swatch for the Charlotte Tilbury. So Rummy Pink is the darker one, and then there's Vanilla Nude. I have a couple of their, whatever these are, like in the little chubby stick sort of things. I have two of those. These are their Shine Up Lip Color Balms. And for whatever reason, Beauty Pie equates shine to little micro shimmers, and it's a little bit annoying to me. A lot of their micro shimmers you can't feel, they don't really hurt anything, but I don't know, like I feel like you can get good shine without shimmer. Both of these have little tiny micro shimmers in them. Super Naked and then Baby Bear. I have 3 of the Future Lipsticks Luxe Shine, and I have the shades Nude Blush, You Sexy Thing, and Nothing Nude. So here we have Nude Blush, You Sexy Thing, and Nothing Nude. And out of these 3, Nothing Nude has the most little micro shimmers in it. By the way, I just tried to use a washcloth to wipe away all the swatches, and I couldn't get the lip liners off, so I guess those will be there for the next round of swatches as well. So the next round of swatches I have are the matte lipsticks. I have 2. I have Cowboy Nude and Hush Now. So these are the matte lipsticks in Cowboy Nude and then Hush Now. Hush Now is pretty light. I usually mix it with something else. And then I have 3 of their, what are these called? The Beach Glosses. These all have shimmer in them. They remind me a lot of like the Lancome like Juicy Tube situation. And you can definitely see up close like the shimmer situation in those. So the first one is Bare Naked, which is kind of the brown toned one. And then there is Naked Peach. And then there is Sugar Rush. So here on my hand, I have Bare Naked, Naked Peach, and then Sugar Rush. And then the final lip products are actually my favorite ones from them. With the exception of one. So around Christmas, they had a trio of the Wonder Gloss, and this came with these 2 shades and a red shade. I gave away the red shade just because I don't really like the whole cherry lip thing on myself. But I kept these 2 shades, which were in Moonshell and Abricata, but I'm pretty sure you can only get these in the trio. And I'm not 100% sure that the trio is even still available. And these pretty much just look like clear glosses. I don't think you're gonna be able to see anything from these on me, but I'll still go ahead and swatch them. But these feel amazing. They're plush. There's none of that micro shimmer. They have a nice sweet smell to them. They're not sticky. It's like if you were to mix a gloss and a balm, it's like a gloss balm gel together. Oh, they're amazing. So yeah, you can kind of see the peachy one, which is Abricota, and then the pinky one, which is Moonshell. And then this one is Nude Nectar, which you can buy individually, and it's down here, and it just adds a nice little tint to the lips, but I'll kind of get up close. There's Nude Nectar. And then the last one is a little bit of a disappointment. So they kind of marketed this when it came out as like their collagen version or whatever of these. And so I was expecting it to kind of be clear, but they didn't really mention the glitter in it. And I don't know if it's going to pick up. Like, yeah, I don't know if I can get it to pick up. There we go. You can kind of see it some there. But this has little tiny specks of glitter in it. And I don't know if it's going to pick up. It's not a big deal. It doesn't really show up a whole lot on the lips. But I'm not sure, like, one that they, like, want to talk about being, like, a collagen sort of thing as, like, being healthy for the lips, like, why they would put glitter in it. And I feel like they kind of ruined the Wonder Gloss by doing that. Also, this has a white tint to it, which I don't love. Also, when you go to buy this, they don't mention at all, at least they didn't when I went to buy it, that the shade was called Shimmerine. Had they done that, I would know that there was shimmer in it, and I wouldn't have picked it up. So it's not my favorite. I would avoid this one. Go for the other ones if you're like me and you just like a nice plush sort of lip gloss on your lips. But anyway, that's everything. So this video, again, it's going to be very long. So sorry to the commenter who did not like long drawn out videos where I repeat myself. I'm sure I repeated myself several times, but I did want to go over all the products and let you know my opinions on them. So there are some really great products in here, and there are a few products that I would just avoid. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will leave my Beauty Pie referral down below, but just so you know, I mentioned it in my other videos, Beauty Pie doesn't like give me money or anything for that. All they give me is an extra $50 spending allowance where I still have to like spend my money to buy that allowance worth, but they just allow me to have $50 extra. What you get is a month free if you are a new member. So you would get a $100 allowance. So they give new members like more. So you would get your first month free pretty much. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.